Welcome to Inflection Points. Join hosts Carla Guzzetti and Tim Harrison as we explore Extreme's vision of the infinite enterprise. We see a world where people have become infinitely distributed around the globe, which means businesses must work at scale and focus increasingly on becoming consumer-centric to connect with each and every one of them.
Tim, I have a question for you.
Oh boy.
This might feel like I'm going to hammer you with a couple of questions.
I'm prepared.
But believe in me, stick with me, it will be okay.
Okay, I've heard this before.
Okay, great. Well, and it worked out. You're still here. So, have you ever purchased anything that was entirely customized to your liking?
No.
Never?
I lie. I have.
Yep.
Well, kind of.
What was it?
Okay. So I actually... Well, I guess I purchased the components to build my own drums.
Okay. And why did you do that?
I did that because the very thing that I wanted, nobody was making. I wanted a particular sound. I wanted a particular musical aesthetic.
Oh.
Good words.
Well, that's fancy.
Yes. And to do that, I needed to actually build my own. So I had to buy the components. I had to do all the work myself to create these. But what I got was something that nobody else has, which is kind of cool.
That's very cool.
I think so.
So, but you've only done that once, though.
Yes.
So you would say that on a regular basis, you don't really go for customized.
No, not really. I like to think that I have a standardized look.
You have a standardized look?
If you will. Yeah, I like the convenience of knowing what I need and being able to very simply select it and get it and be done.
Well, and let's face it, it's pretty efficient.
It
right?
is. I think so.
Efficient.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I also have no sense of fashion.
that's also true. So that's not what the show is about. We're gonna focus. But I think my point here is this. Customization is something I think everybody is into, even those who, on the face of it, may not be that into it.
Thank you.
And I think one of the obvious places for this to happen is obviously with clothing, right? Because, well, we have tailors. It's been part of our tradition, part of our culture all around the world as humans who have to clothe themselves. And I think, one of the things that we talk a lot about on the podcast is that if things are going to be customized, more often than not, people are going to, or businesses will win if they can provide more customization rather than less. Because more people want things that are customized because they want something that they can't currently find on the market, just as you did with your drum set.
I say, where have we heard that before?
I don't know. I think it might have been us.
And, and I can feel the silent judgment of your eyes going from mine down to my fashion choice and then coming back up. I sense that you have an opinion on the matter.
No, I've never had an opinion in my life. I think that, yes, perhaps we could go with a different color gray in your basic t-shirt, but, but there's customization even in that. You chose a size and you chose a color.
Very true.
Right?
Yes, that's absolutely true. And I do have a more mauve-y type of gray. And I have purple.
Oh, good.
I do have purple.
Okay, that's good.
So that's customization?
That's customization. So that's one scale of customization. Then you can go all the way kind of probably towards my end of the spectrum, which is...
Have you ever purchased something customized?
I have purchased customized items. Yes, I have. But I do it because I enjoy the process. Some people do not enjoy the process. I think your drum kit is a perfect example of you probably really enjoyed that. You wanted a specific sound.
Yeah.
You were really into it. But it was also a lot of effort, right?
It was.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of times people are intimidated about customizing their clothing because it seems like a lot of effort. You have to take it to a tailor. You have to get yourself measured. You have to do all of these things. And some people like me enjoy that process and have a very clear view of what they want, and other people don't. Right?
Do you find that you're catered to? Are there experiences that are better than others that you find? What kind of customizations do you like? How far do you go?
I don't frequently go that far. I do have friends that I work with that have ordered, the customized shirts. So they go to the tailor. Everything is completely, all their measurements are done by the tailor. They order the specific type of clothing, all the different colors.
Wow.
It's embroidered with their name. I don't go that far.
Okay.
That doesn't regularly happen.
Not regularly.
No, no, not for everyday clothing. But I will buy things off the rack and then have it customized to me, right? So I will have things pulled in, taken out, or taken up, or whatever it is. So I think my point here with this, though, is we have a really interesting guest on today, and I think that she is taking this to the next level. She's the CEO of and founder of Design Duality. Her name is Nisha Kesavan. What she's doing is bringing customized Indian wardrobe to people who perhaps either have family still in India or used to live in India and now live abroad, and they are struggling to find these beautiful garments like saris and other garments for major holidays like Diwali, weddings, because in India, having the right look is the most important thing. It's a major part of their culture. And she has found a way so that she can customize and deliver clothing to people all around the world from tailors in India. It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. So that sounds very much like the Infinite Enterprise.
I think we have a winner, yes.
Yeah, I think this hits the Infinite Enterprise right out of the park. It's for an infinitely distributed audience, using technology at scale to replicate the experience of the center, in this case India, at the edge, which in this case is anywhere else but India. So what about customer centricity? 100%. Right? This is customized for the consumer. This is possibly the most clear example of the Infinite Enterprise we've had.
Right. And also, I think she makes it easy enough for even the most cantankerous person to enjoy some customization in their clothing. Perhaps we can get her to order you a new t-shirt.
Oh, I'm the cantankerous one.
Yes, that's you.
Well, I look forward to finding out if that's possible.
All right. Well, let's ask Nisha.
Let's do. Nisha, what is Design Duality?
Design Duality. It's really our brainchild from our MBA group. We started this as a small project, but it turns out it's really going to take shape in the real world. So it's quite close to our heart. We really want to bring the local brands to a global world, especially the up and coming fashion designers in India. And we really believe that as an individual, I have an adopted city or I have an adopted country, and I'm basically not from that place. And when you come from a place like India, trust me, you do have a lot of duality in you. We're looking to design and make sure you actually embrace that duality and not think of it as some issue.
Wow.
Nisha, would it be fair to say that, with Design Duality, the need that you're trying to address is really giving people the opportunity to identify themselves through their fashion in both their new country and their home country?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you really nailed it, Carla. I think it's really important for people to understand that we are living in a very changing world, right? And we have to adapt ourselves to everything that's coming along, whether it's kind of moving to a new city, moving to a new country, adapting a new culture, as the word globalization is very loosely used in many places, but I guess it really has a lot of meaning if you actually scratch the surface. It's about making a statement, something that you believe in, something that you want to show, whether, it's a culmination of your upbringing, your ability to look at things differently. It's your statement, right? Fashion is what out there and style is what you do with it. So it's really your ability to kind of bring the two worlds together, what you seem right or you feel is right.
Can you give us an idea of what the actual product is that you're offering here, Nisha?
Absolutely. So it's a e-commerce marketplace for fashion designers, really, which is backed by technology, i.e. fashion technology. So we have started our journey with the ability to measure yourself as, for tailor-made clothing using our app. So you can actually get tailor-made clothing. Our app provides about 27 to 30 measurement points across your body with an accuracy of 1 centimeter. And you are able to choose designer clothing from across India, where we are starting off now. But eventually, we kind of go global with the designer presence, you are able to get tailor-made clothing. And the added fillip that we've added to our app now is that, you can actually customize certain aspects of your garment. If you want a different kind of neck style, you want a different kind of sleeve, or, anything in your pants, or, some additional accessory that you want to add to your clothing, I can quite confidently say there's no other platform that allows that right now, because, the ability to customize your garment as well as get it tailor-made and shipped to your doorstep, we are the first ones for you.
I'm terrified to think of what Tim's tailor-made outfit's going to look like.
Thanks for that.
Quite the design. So, Nisha, can you unpack a little bit more? What is the B2B part of Design Duality versus the B2C part? Because you're really operating in an unusual space. You can provide something really customized to your customer, but it's clear that there is a relationship in business to business.
Absolutely. And for that, I think I would want to kind of step back a bit and give you a perspective from, the market that I come from, India. And it's really, really important to understand what goes into designing of clothes. So typically, a lot of Indian garments is tailor-made. We have like tailors every nook and corner of our city. Most of these tailors, the designers, first, it's like the first level tailors, because we kind of tend to go buy our own yarn, our own materials, and then design our own clothing and just walk up to the tailor shop and say, I want this in my fit, and get measured, and it's done in a few days. A step further is where you have designers who kind of come up with a product catalog. Then you have the ability to actually go to these boutique stores, pick a product from the catalog, say I want, slightly, the neck should be slightly deeper, or in a different shape, or I don't like such long sleeves, I want something which is sleeveless. And again, you get measured, and 2 weeks, your clothes are ready. A lot of our Indian festivals, which I'm sure you would have seen through your colleagues or acquaintances, that there's just a ton of Indian festivals which come along. And there are two integral parts to any Indian festival. One is nice, flashy clothing and good food. The clothing, obviously, is a statement of what's there in the market right now, what, you really feel nice wearing about. And apart from just the festivals, there are a ton of occasions that Indian customs
weddings,
have as well.
Things like that.
Yeah, and wedding is like a 3-day affair. Five things associated with the weddings. So that's where the whole background is, and that's where there's a lot of emphasis on having something which is very unique to you, very tailored for your size, and something which is different, which stands out. Because every occasion, you're not just a participant in a wedding. Okay, you are an important part who walks up and wishes the bride or the groom at a wedding. So it's really important that I have nice clothing. It sounds weird for a lot of people, but trust me, when you kind of walk into India, it really tells you that story that you want to stand apart. And that has not died away with people moving out of India as well. So, a huge Indian population, which is sitting outside, still embraces a lot of the Indianness, if there's a word like that, to to their daily lives. And trust me, the Indians are more Indians abroad than in India. Okay, so the number of festivals, the kind of occasions they celebrate, and like to wear unique garments which are traditional, authentic from India is phenomenal. And I have like ton of friends and families who kind of are living abroad, and they come here, and the first thing they do is a visit to the tailor or the designer to get their tailor-made garment. And that's where the long story comes in, to kind of understand where the B2B market is going to start. Because my designers, who are small, medium-sized designers, is really a store in small area, which caters to maybe 5, 7, 8 kilometer radius. Mm-hmm. And they do not have an online presence, or they have very limited online presence. Thanks to the Instagrams and, the Facebooks is where they have actually picked up some of the online business. And even today, you would see most of their websites at just a few pages with, some landing page to kind of talk about their emails and give the WhatsApp message, to get clothing. So there is a lot which they are losing out, because the crowd that they were catering to has either moved out of the city or have gone to another country. And it's only during these occasional trips that they actually get that business back. Okay. And obviously, with the festivals, there is that seasonality that comes in. So for designers to really focus a lot on their small boutique stores that they have, plus the people they employ, plus manage an online footprint, is going to be tough. So we take away the entire online footprint workload from them and give them a ready-made online marketplace, which gives them the ability to reach a global audience, to connect the shipping, manage, getting the tailored garments, keep them alive even during the pandemic phases. I think that's really critical. And we've seen some really good response because it's a very light and easy app that we provide. It's mobile based, you just have to log in. Everything is people click pictures on their phones. So you just click a picture of your outfit and then you can upload, and you're there out in the market. Your product is ready to be brought out to a global audience. And that's where we build that B2B business, and that's where we kind of make their life easy.
That sounds like there's a huge amount of cultural pressure to be able to have these customized, bespoke outfits that really express yourself and your characteristics and your experience. But it's also crossed with the desire to adopt technology as rapidly as possible. And the idea that that technology growth is enabling that. It seems like this is a 1 + 1 = 3 as things keep growing, with the ability to have that bespoke garment and to be able to access it through technologies and to access the people who are building it through technology.
Yes. And, they don't have to really worry about upgrading to the technology as well as we kind of go along. That's why we bring in the economies of scale for a lot of them. They don't have to worry about doing their R&D in terms of, what's new, what's not, how they can grow, because we're taking care of that. They're quite indigenous, to the extent they're quite innovative in their own way. You would see a lot of their websites actually has like WhatsApp options. WhatsApp is like really, really used widely in India and Indians abroad. And that particular app, actually, people get the body measurements. There are videos which they post, YouTube videos which they post on their websites to kind of call people to see, this is how you take body measurements. Okay. Now, imagine if we take that away and just let our app do a one-stop shop solution for, all their needs. And that's where we bring the differentiator to the designers.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the app? How does maybe I shouldn't use myself as an example. I don't really want to be seen.
Are you going to get a sorry, Tim?
Yeah. Well, hey, I anyway,
maybe.
Could you tell me how the app works? How do you get these measurements? Is it literally just hold it in your hand and scan yourself, if you will?
Yes. So there's a ton of technology that's backed this particular sizing, and there are like hundreds of vendors out there. So one of my co-founders is into apparel innovation, and through her knowledge is where we were able to bring in, which is the right integration that we can propose here. And the integration is really with the sensor-based technologies. You actually move the app from the left side to the right side. You're actually standing against the wall. You get that relational view, or the sensor can kind of captures that relation between your body and a flat background. And it really covers the entire circumference. And then there are like 4 input points that you give. One is like your height, weight, age, and your gender. And then there are 4 measurement points that you run the app through, your mobile phone through. So across Android, iOS, you would be able to use it. You just need to move it across from the top of your arm to the elbow. You are able to move the phone from the right side to the left side, and so on and so forth. So there are 4 activities you kind of carry out. With that, with these 8 points that are actually given by the user, we can convert that to 30 plus measurement points across the body from head to toe.
Wow,
Amazing.
That's impressive.
So the algorithm actually runs to provide that detailed view, and it's to the accuracy of 1 centimeter.
Do you think, in your experience so far with the app, what has the feedback been from customers? Is it possible that you feel like you might actually be providing a better experience than if they were to go into the tailor themselves?
Let's face it, I think the pandemic has really changed some of the behaviors, for consumers. And especially in India, which we still see a lot of distinction between people who use apps for pretty much everything to the generation, like my parents' generation, which probably doesn't, believe. They still like to write checks in the bank, go and withdraw cash at the counter and not even rely on ATMs, right? The generation divide is quite a lot, right? Obviously, we can't target that generation for, them to be able to adapt to such technology. So that age group is where we have seen they are like, probably not for me, but, I'm happy to get my daughter or my son to like shop something, and I can probably help them get something which is tailored as opposed to doing it myself. So that's one of the areas we see that there has been a bit of a pushback. The second thing is, I think that's what will let us evolve further, will be like the fact that this is sensor based. So there is a whole section of consumers who don't want their videos to be on when they are clicking pictures for all privacy reasons. And there is this whole other generation which doesn't mind switching on their camera and taking pictures, right?
Yep.
So I think as we will evolve to kind of cater to that who don't mind taking their video or their image, and then we are able to use that to convert or even help them visualize their avatar with the right kind of cost, the garments. I think that is our next phase as we want to evolve, but we're going kind of little conservative with the fact that we know there is a lot of consumer behavior which is very focused on the privacy and not wanting to switch on their cameras and take a picture or video of themselves, and especially not to measure themselves, and especially not with tight fitting clothing or like skin hugging clothes. Yeah, I think the behavior will change, and I feel it's on the right track towards that change that we want to see.
I think she's talking directly to me, Carla, but
I don't know what you're talking about, Tim. You're beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. Nisha, do you find the behavior is different between people in India and the Indian diaspora out in the rest of the world? Do you find that divide perhaps different between Indians living in North America and Indians in India?
From, I think, a spend perspective, yes, there is a difference. From the perspective where you want a lot of authentic stuff, I think they are same. Even in India now, there is a lot of appetite for premium, authentic, custom designed, which might not have been the case, a couple of decades ago, primarily with, the changing economic structure of the consumers in India. And with the fact that I think a lot of Indians, even who are living in India, have traveled, have seen, are really relying on that authenticity, really things that come from. So if I talk about a particular kind of cotton clothing, right, which comes from a small town in the south of India, a lot of Indians, not just globally, but even within India, are able to appreciate the fact that, yes, it's premium cotton. It comes from a particular small town called Tirupur in Tamil Nadu. It does have that pricing that is required. So from the appreciation of the right kind of fabric and the clothing to the kind of spend appetite, I think there is not a massive difference. There is a lot of convergence that we do see. But the only fallout that you probably see from the Indian market would be the pricing, because the fact that you're in India and if you want to buy something premium, you would still want to travel and feel that texture quality of that, textile or that garment that you're buying. And that's another kind of hand-me-down behavior that I should say that, I should accrue it to my parents and uncles and aunts, because whenever we go buy clothing, there's always this thing to wanting to touch the kind of silk you're buying or the cotton. It's a testimony because my mom can touch the cotton and tell you what exactly it is and where it is from. And that behavior within India, the fact that, you're living here, you would want to exercise that option. And that's the only detriment that I see between people, the Indians abroad and the Indians in India.
So really it's that getting the feel is the next level, right? But there's so much I love about what you're doing at Design Duality, because I think in the pandemic, the way that we shop has definitely shifted. And there's some things that you've talked about, Nisha, that I'd like for you to unpack a little bit more and kind of peer into your crystal ball in the future, as we've asked so many of our guests to do. But, you mentioned next step would be an avatar, right? So somebody has their avatar in your app, and maybe their avatar is walking into the different boutiques that Design Duality can represent. Where else do you see this going in the future, particularly for retail? Because, the pandemic has really been the catalyst for a lot of this. And I think that Design Duality clearly will be addressing a need, but where does it go next from here? We think avatars are probably the next step, but what does shopping in the future look like?
Definitely avatar is the most important. I think we're already seeing that in some of the big brands coming through with the ability to kind of visualize yourself in certain clothing as you walk into the store, like the Zara's and Chanel. So Carla, how confident are you to go and buy an Indian cloth by
Zero.
yourself?
I have zero confidence.
and
I would need to call you and go, what do I do?
I think that's the proof of the pudding, right? So it's really the ability to even be able to visualize yourself in another cultural attire or, in another cultural traditional clothing. It's the confidence that really builds. And I think even though we all know about it, I think the moment you start experiencing it, it's going to be a completely different feel altogether, right? So while I'm talking all of this from just the Indian perspective, I think we want to take that to the further Southeast Asian countries, right? With their traditional clothing. So some of the Burmese clothing, if you really look at it, it's so amazing to, even just to be able to even visualize yourself. Our one couple of my co-founders are based out of Africa. There's a massive market that we're already foreseeing, there from the designer perspective. So in terms of footprint, I think geographically, definitely we'll go, to multiple different traditions and space. Visualization in terms of, the augmented reality of the technology that can be brought forward to not just customers, but also for designers to be able to see how good certain things look like is phenomenal. There are certain tools which allow designers to be able to modify the clothing or the garments or the designs that they are bringing out without really investing in the inventory. So right now, if you look at most of the designers, they're actually designing something, then you actually have to manufacture it, then you have to run a photo shoot, and then the product comes on the shelf. But that's not the product which is sold, because I get it tailored, right? I get that design, I get that product off the shelf and say, no, I need it in another color. I need a slight customization and it's tailored for me. The designer has to actually do all this investment before they can actually hit their first customer for that particular product. So imagine if we can take that virtual. What you're selling has that product got an appetite from the customer perspective? The designer may be selling something which is digital as a design or a product. Does the customer or you as a customer has an appetite to actually visualize that and actually buy that, right? That convergence has to happen. Otherwise, I can continue just visualizing myself and not really buy anything at the end of it. Or the designer could churn out, product after product. If, there's not going to be any customer to buy that, there's no merit in that. So there's a lot of that software for the designer to actually design, allow the customer to actually make changes. We've already looked at some of the technology to be brought in. That's one great thing. I think it will be if we can do that. There's a certain level of photography. So there's certain software where you actually run certain photographs of your clothing, which is a near touch experience of the fabric.
Yep.
Okay, right. It's that level of detailing that you can go into. So, and that's the one that, we would want our designers to be able to leverage. You already see our platform actually gives a very high resolution picture, which you would not see in many of the other, the kind of detailing, the embroidery work, the handwork that goes into the clothing is really, really important to showcase why such a premium product is, selling at that price. And imagine if we can take that, 5 folds to a level where you can actually nearly experience how the clothing would look like. So these are 2-3 things that we think is there in the market. Then, of course, I think there are a few topics on 3D printing and all that. Well, I don't know how it will evolve there, because our kind of clothing really is predominantly in, a lot of thread work, a lot of beads, and a lot of, handwork that goes into. There are craftsmen who sit on these really flat surfaces and are doing these really intricate designs with hand, which goes up and down the whole lot of that fabric. So to kind of translate that into 3D printing, I'm not sure, but I don't think it's impossible given the kind of changes we're seeing nowadays.
So there's always a chance that at some point in time I will be able to visualize myself in a sari. I'll be able to physically touch the materials printed out before me as a sample, and I can purchase that from a bespoke tailor somewhere in India that will laugh at the amount of materials required for my particular outfit. That's wonderful, Nisha. This is a fantastic experience that you're building. It sounds to me like it's a platform that's enabling both the tailor and the user, the consumer, to be able to really have that relationship without the massive investment on the business side, and with the customization that you've expected and that they've expected from a physical interaction. So that's such a wonderful platform. We really appreciate you bringing this to us and explaining it to us and helping us understand how you're enabling these customers and these tailors. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Tim, did we just end that conversation with you buying a customized sari. We've gone from generic kind of baggy gray t-shirt to customized sari. Is that what's happening here?
I may have misunderstood initially.
You misunderstood what?
Well, yeah, I okay, so what I've learned today is that I can be brought around to the idea of customization.
There we go.
I think we should probably stick to that. My other comments are not relevant at this moment.
Yeah, well, that's fair. But the important thing is you're interested in customized clothing.
I am.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that the moral of the story here is that customization, as long as it's easy and everyone can do it, then anyone would be potentially interested in it.
Thank you for gesturing in my direction. What was interesting to me was that from your experience with customization, which is more about going to somebody and then going to somebody else to have whatever you purchased customized, to this experience, which is effectively a smartphone being able to scan you, that experience is much more consumer focused, right? I can do this at home. I don't feel uncomfortable having somebody else doing this for me. This is actually a consumer experience that allows me to have that experience at home.
Also, not to mention, it can be done from anywhere. It
Yeah.
can be done from your home. You don't have to drive into town to go and see the tailor. And as you said, you don't have to have the uncomfortable experience. It's easy for everyone. It's the democratization of having something customized.
Yeah.
And it makes it affordable for most anyone.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is usually not something that's affordable for everyone. But I think that the most important thing with the fact that it can be anywhere, it can be scaled to the individual, it's affordable to be delivered, that means that really it's everything about the infinite enterprise. And if all of those tenets are met, then Nisha's business is going to win.
Right.
I mean, she is definitely going to beat out her competitor every time because people don't have to go anywhere. They can get something totally customized. They feel like they can support a local business. They feel like they can tap into their culture and heritage, and they can do that from anywhere.
That's, anywhere around the world, whether it's, here or there. Yeah, I agree. What's interesting is that, I think basically Nisha has my sorry business, if you will, because
That's the worst part.
I'm sorry. But from a competition standpoint, she's provided a service that is much more easy for me to consume or for someone to consume. That means that she has the edge on everyone else.
Yes, absolutely.
She gets the chance to beat everybody to the punch.
Yep. And any business that isn't considering any of this is going to miss out. So, I mean, moral of the story here, it's going to win every time. I'm so excited to see what Design Duality does, and I'm sure that this is just the beginning of everything for Nisha and that team.
I hope so, yeah. And I get the opportunity to custom design something for me, I'm sure, at some point.
Yes, at some point. We'll go and talk to Nisha about that.
I think that's a great idea. Awesome. Thanks, Carla.
Thanks, Tim.
Join us for our next episode of Inflection Points, where we discuss whether we'll ever be comfortable using our fingerprints for security. Will we ever feel safe in a world without passwords? Episodes drop every other Wednesday. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.